All right, I've been trying to record this video for close to 2 weeks, but it's been very difficult. I decided that I should speak out. I have been posting a lot on social media, especially Facebook, in light of George Floyd and the racial injustice against black people and people of color in the US and all over the world for that matter. And I decided that it's my duty, it's my duty to add my voice and my experience. I was reluctant to do this because every time I think about what's been happening, I have been very emotional. I cry. And I'm proud to say I cry. I cry because I'm angry. I cry because of the things that my brothers and sisters globally have had to put up with simply because they look like me. They have this nose and these lips and this color skin. So I've been living in Asia for the better part of 14 years. And although I don't have the same experiences that my North American and European brothers and sisters have had, what I've experienced pales in comparison to what they have gone through. But I think it's important to still talk about what I've experienced as a black man in Asia. Asia is a beautiful region, beautiful people, lovely culture, but you do have racism and implicit bias against black people. You do have racism against others here in Asia as well. As I said to someone recently, you have persons being racist against Chinese. You have Chinese being racist against other Chinese from other ethnic groups. You have people being racist against Indians, against Malays, against Filipinos, it's just sickening. Sickening. We're all human beings, and it shouldn't matter what we look like. So, my very first exposure to racism, I grew up in Jamaica. And yes, there's racism in Jamaica, but not to the extent that we experience it in other places. I certainly never experienced it as a black boy growing up in Jamaica because, you have white Jamaicans, Chinese Jamaicans, Indian Jamaicans, but most of us are black Jamaicans or black mix. So I never experienced it. My first experience was in Rome in 2006, December. We went for a 2 week tour of Europe, and one of the countries that we visited was Italy and Rome, which I love. I love Rome. And we went into this restaurant, and the maitre d' seated us at a particular table, and you had these white people sitting at another table, and they were offended that the maitre d' sit us as blacks next to them, and they complained and decided to get up to leave. I was a little shocked because I never experienced anything like that before. What have I done to them? I've never met these people before. I never did or said anything to offend them, but they were offended simply by my presence, and they didn't think I was worthy of sitting in the same restaurant at a table next to them because I was black. That hurt me. Um, I spoke up. We spoke up. Others in the restaurant, other persons, white people spoke up and, said this is not who they are. And I'm grateful to those persons because if not, we would have felt alone. Living in China for 12 years, I have experienced racism and implicit bias. As an expat in China, we weren't allowed to have credit cards at first for obvious reasons. We could run off and not pay back. I mean, I got it. And it wasn't just about blacks, it was about all foreigners. But then I heard from a patient of mine that this particular bank called Huaxia, and it was in in partnership with Deutsche Bank from Germany, and they were given foreigners credit cards. And so we called the head office to find out if this is true, and they said yes, and they outlined what we needed in order to apply for a credit card. In order to qualify to apply, you needed to have a full-time job as a foreigner, a working visa, a working permit. You needed to have a particular type of salary. Everything they asked for, I qualified. So I was told to go to the nearest branch to where I live to apply, and I did. I went to the branch with a friend of mine. And at the time, this is probably about 10 years ago. And so my Chinese was still coming along. It still is. So my friend was there, and when we spoke with the floor manager, she at first said yes, and then she saw me and she said, "Oh no, we're no longer giving credit cards to foreigners." And we said, "But how comes? I mean, we just spoke with the head office yesterday, and they said it was a go." And she said, "No, there was a meeting last night, and at that meeting they decided to rescind that, and foreigners are no longer given credit cards." Okay. So we left, went back to my car, and while in my car, I said to my friend, "Let's call the bank again and find out." And so he called because he was speaking with them in Chinese, and they said, "No, there's no such thing, that foreigners are allowed to apply, and once you qualify, you'll be given the credit card." And I said, it then dawned on me, oh my goodness, it's because I'm black. It's because I'm black why she said that. And so we went back to her and we said, "Are you sure that they had this meeting?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "But we just spoke to the head office again, and they said that you're lying." And the look on her face. And I said, "It's because I'm black. You're doing this because I'm black, and that's wrong." I said, "You're racist." You know, it hit her. And I said, "We're going to call the branch right now, the head office, in your presence." And she had on her name pin, and I called her by her name. And she said, "No, no, 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 it's okay. It's a misunderstanding." I said, "There's no misunderstanding." I said, "You are racist." And so we called them in front of her, and we spoke, and they were very appalled. And I said to them, "If she represents your bank and she's being racist, then your bank is being racist." And I said, "I'm very offended." I told them what my job is, that I wasn't begging anything. I was wanting a credit card for whatever purposes. I told them what my salary was. And I said, the fact that I'm black. They were very nice. They responded well. They demoted her. They asked me to go ahead and apply, and I said no, I would not, because I don't want her having my details. They sent out a manager immediately to get my details. They said they would send someone to my home. They did. They sent the manager, an English-speaking person, just to make sure that I could understand properly. And I got my credit card. It ended well, but it made me feel so horrible. Again, what did I do to deserve this? Yeah? What did I do to this woman? At that point in time, it was 4 years that I was living in China, and I had done a lot to help that country with the earthquake in Sichuan, and being a representative to help mental health issues and deal with trauma. And I was like, okay, forget about it. And so I've had to endure jokes that people didn't recognize was racist, and I know they meant nothing by it, like, um, you're so intelligent for a black man. I'm like, what? What do you mean I'm intelligent for a black man? But black men are not supposed to be intelligent? You know? I get other jokes like, and I'm saying these things for my friends to understand what's appropriate and what's inappropriate. They'll say things like, um, if I turn the light off, can I see you? I said, but if you turn the light off, you can't see anyone, and it's funny and they're laughing. It's about just being sensitized. It's about recognizing that we're all human beings and we all have feelings. I'm grateful for what's happening. I'm grateful for the white persons, the Asian persons, the Latino persons, everyone who has been standing up for blacks. And I just wanted to share one of my stories. I have many others I could share in terms of implicit bias and racism that I've had to endure as a black man in Asia. And it's time for this to stop. We're all human beings. Why can't we just love? That's what I'm trying to understand.